All right. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. It's Monday, June 12th, and this is our Monday morning training. Today's topic, getting started in the final expense business. I think it's a great topic for new agents that have just gotten licensed, or even people that are just maybe looking for a refresher, kind of looking for a fresh start. And I'm going to kind of go through, just a good plan of action, something to put in order. So then you just kind of have a good plan moving forward with exactly how you want to run your business. And I would say this is geared maybe a little bit more towards field sales than telesales, but it can work for both. And if you have any any telesales questions, feel free to ask. And I can kind of relate this kind of to how it would work for telesales as well. So, I have been building a telesales platform, and so far it's going pretty well. Also, and there's always going to be field sales. I mean, field sales isn't going anywhere. And that's kind of what this is geared towards. Field sales has really been my bread and butter for the last 20 years. Done a little bit with the telesales and figuring that out, because I know it's a good thing for a lot of agents out there. Some people maybe aren't comfortable going out in the field, maybe working some of the areas that we work and things like that. But that's where, like I said, I feel like this is good for either for field sales or telesales. So, and again, if you've yet to sign up for my weekly trainings, get on my website, adambrsan.com, and fill in your information, and then you will be invited to future trainings. And I last week set up like my next 12 weeks of trainings. So I have a straight 12 weeks in a row, different topics every single week, things, again, that'll just help you get better as an agent. That's really the ultimate goal. That's why I do these trainings. I feel like there's a lot of people that are in the business that maybe people saw a great opportunity out there. There's a lot of over promising and under delivering out there. People go out there, they get their license, and then they're stuck. They just don't really know where to go after getting that license. What are the next steps? And maybe they get contracted with a handful of different companies, but then from there they just don't really know how to put their business together. And my goal is for agents to have that long-term success in the business. Like I said, I've been doing it 20 years. Not a lot of people that are currently in final expense have done it as long as I have, and have stuck with it. So it works. It's a good business. If it didn't work, I would have found something else to do by now. So, but anyways, a little bit about me. Like I mentioned, been doing this now for 20 years. I would say majority of my career, I worked for two different companies. Worked for two different companies. The first company, I didn't do a whole lot when it came to building and recruiting. I did a little bit towards my end there, but I was there 11 and a half years. I was a top producer. I made majority of the company conventions, and that's actually where I kind of got into wanting to build and grow. I was on a company trip, met some very successful people that were making a lot more money than I was, and I found out that the way they were doing it was just by taking what they had learned and start to teach it to others. And that's what I've really enjoyed doing over the last, I'd say, 8 or 9 years, is just working with agents and developing them. And like I said, the ultimate goal so you can have that long-term success. So I've had years of success mentoring agents and also building some pretty successful agencies. My main focus is to recruit, train, and to mentor agents. And I still produce. I like to stay fresh. I like to get out in the field. I like to go out there and I like to write business. I actually have an appointment later today. I'm consistently ordering leads right now. I'm out in the field about 3 days a week. So I still get out there. I write business, and I like sitting with people and helping people. And I like for people, I just like to know that people need my help, and I'm just willing to help them. I'd hate to see something happen. People fill these different inquiries out and they never do anything. Sometimes it takes somebody like me to show up to say, hey, it's time to just get this done. So, and then for additional training, you can check out my website, adambrsan.com/training. I do need to update the training section of that. I would say for the time being, your best bet for a lot of my different training and content would just be to go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Adam Brsan. That's where a lot of the content is. And, like I said, I mean, and this is just going to get bigger and better as we go. I will be adding additional trainings. I kind of started over again. I left a company. I was our top manager, and I decided that I was kind of ready to move out on my own back in like December of last year. So kind of just still in the process of building and putting things together. But the website will be getting worked on, and I will be adding some new training and some new presentations and things like that on there as well. So today, again, we're going to talk about getting your business up and running. Like I said, whether you're a new agent or you're just ready to kind of move forward with maybe a new plan of action, this could be a good plan to follow. We're going to talk about ordering leads. I mean, leads are the lifeblood of our business. You got to have that steady flow of leads on a regular basis. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk a little bit about how to work the leads. And then we're going to talk about preparing to present. So then I guess you could probably guess what next week's topic is going to be. We're going to be going over the presentation I've been using for years that's helped me to be successful. And it's almost identical, the in-home presentation and the telesales presentation. So we're going to be going over that next Monday. So mark that on your calendar. And I will look forward to seeing you guys then to kind of go through the presentation. If you'd like a copy of the presentation in the meantime, shoot me an email or a text, and I'd be happy to send you over the script and also the PDF presentation that I use in home. So if you're a brand new agent, I would say that this is something that is very important. You want to know what you're doing out in the field. I understand that you're brand new, but you need to learn the different carriers that you're doing business with. You're going to have people that have questions about the companies. They're going to have questions about underwriting. You're going to need to know the underwriting. So it's very important to learn your carriers and to know which company that you're kind of leading with. And I'll go through that too. But bottom line, keep it simple. I know a lot of these different organizations, it's like you get going and right away they're contracting you with like 15 to 20 different companies. And to me, that's just kind of like overkill. I don't feel like you need that much. I think that a lot of places do that just for control purposes. They want to be able to control that agent, and they want to be able to lock them up when it comes to having all the different contracts with them. I just don't feel like it's necessary. You don't need 20 different companies when it comes to selling final expense. If you have one company that insures most of the people you talk to, well, then I would say that that's a good company to lead with. Start with that company. And then from there, maybe learn 2 or 3 other carriers for different underwriting scenarios when you may run into certain scenarios, such as, one we run into a lot is like diabetic neuropathy. I mean, there's companies that will insure diabetic neuropathy day one, where maybe your primary carrier doesn't. COPD is another one, where maybe your primary would not cover them from the very first day, but you have another company in your back pocket. I would say those are probably the two big ones. And then like a guaranteed issue product to be able to insure pretty much everybody. But again, so right there, I mean, we're talking about 2, 3, 4 different companies. I don't really feel like you need a ton. Keep it simple. As time goes on, if you feel the need to add additional carriers, go for it. But when you're first starting out, keep it simple. I mean, you're just getting going in the business. You don't want to overwhelm yourself either, but take the time, like I mentioned, learn the different underwriting guides, study the different carrier products, the different agent guides. That will definitely help you as well. You want to know the ins and outs of the companies that you're working with and when to use them for certain scenarios, when not to. Your clients, again, they're going to have questions. And the more you know, the more knowledgeable you are, the more credibility that's going to give yourself. And better chance that people are going to want to do business with you if you're not stumbling around trying to come up with an answer. I'd also recommend purchasing or downloading the insurance toolkits if you don't have it. I believe it's like $39.99 a month. I mean, heck, that's the cost of one lead. That's something that has greatly helped myself since I kind of went the broker route. I was primarily, I would almost consider myself almost like a captive sort of agent over the last 20 years, primarily working with only 1 or 2 different companies. So the toolkit really helped me when I first kind of made that move. And because you run into so many different scenarios, people are taking medications for certain things, and there's so many different multi-purpose meds. So with the toolkit, I mean, you can plug in the person's age, you can plug in their height and weight, you can plug in the medical conditions and also the medications that they've been prescribed. The toolkit it'll shoot out what the best options would be for that client. Now, again, I mean, I think that it's good to have your main carrier that you're leading with. I use the toolkits when I run into those other scenarios. If I go into a home and that person's on like a dozen different medications, that's going to make it a little bit more confusing when it comes to figuring out which company to put the person with. So that's where the toolkits really has helped me. And so, like I said, for the cost of one lead, I think that it's definitely a very useful tool that will help you. I don't like I said, I think it's good to have a lead company or like a main carrier to lead with. For one thing, when you have a lead carrier, you're able to reap a lot more of the different benefits that one company has to offer. I know it's kind of difficult to make a company convention when you're writing business with a dozen different companies, but if you have that one that you're focusing on and you know that you want to make a convention with that one company, well, then that could be the one that's your main focus. And then all the other ones are just kind of more like a one-off, in this scenario and that scenario, but that business starts to add up as well. I mean, I've written plenty of business with secondary companies over the last 6 months. So I'm still a firm believer of selling on value, not on price. So with the toolkit, yeah, it's going to show you the cheapest options. Don't feel like you always have to go with the lowest option available when it comes to price. It's like anything else in life. Sometimes you get what you pay for too. And just because a company is the cheapest doesn't mean that they're the best. So in scenarios where maybe your main carrier won't insure somebody, well, then at least you have that toolkit to kind of give you some other options. And communication is so important, especially if you're brand new in the business. You cannot be afraid to contact your upline manager if you have questions and if you need help. I remember when I first got in the business, I would be in a home and people would have questions. I might just not be sure of the answer. And I used to call my manager all the time. And I feel like the prospect or hopefully client after the fact, I feel like they appreciated that I took the time to call my manager to get the right answer and not just make something up. I think that they appreciate that you take the time. If you don't know, they understand. If you're new, you're new. That doesn't mean that they're not going to want to do business with you just because you're new. But if you make that effort to get the right answers, they're going to appreciate that. That's going to also help you and maybe give you a little bit of credibility, when it comes to working with the clients and them knowing that you're looking out for them and making sure that you get the right answers for them. God, I've been in so many houses where I ask the person if they already have a policy and they show me that policy and I'm looking at it like, why did the guy even write this? Like they just didn't know what they were doing. Maybe they needed to call their manager and ask for help. I've been in houses where people think they have a whole life policy and it's a policy that's going to expire or the rates are going to go up when they turn a certain age. So those are like just little things. A lot of times the client isn't even aware of, but to me, it's because a lot of the times it's because the agent didn't do their job and they didn't really know even maybe what they were selling. Maybe they were brand new and they were just trying to make sales. So if again, my goal is for you to be in this long term. And it all comes back to doing the right thing for everybody involved and helping out the client and getting the right answers when they need them. So, and that's kind of what I said here too. If presenting in a home and your client has questions that you're unsure of, call your upline manager. That's what they're there for. Your upline manager, they get paid when you make a sale too. So take advantage of that. Be in touch with your upline manager. Let them earn their override. And if you consistently call and they're not quite sure of things, maybe you need to look for a different upline. But 4 things that I think are crucial, supposed to say to your success, 4 things that I feel are crucial to your success in the business. Number 1, money management. I used to say that work ethic was probably key, but I think money management is probably more important even than work ethic. Because if you're not good at managing your money, well, you're not going to have anybody to see. And so work ethic wouldn't really matter if you don't have leads to go out and work. So I think money management is definitely number 1. And you got to be able to consistently work leads. And you got to have that consistent lead flow. Structure, learning a presentation. Those that actually have a presentation and they go out and they use that presentation, to me, I think structure is important. It's a lot better than just going out there and winging it. And, you're just kind of repeating yourself over and over, but it gets to the point where you're just so comfortable with it. You get so much smoother. Now it's like when I'm in a house, heck, and it doesn't even matter, questions, objections, or whatever. I'm able to handle those scenarios, but it's just from years of doing this and learning it and that experience. But that's where I want to be able to share those experiences with you guys and be able to maybe shorten the time it'll take you to kind of get to where I've gotten when it comes to learning the business and having a presentation to use and all that. So remember, next week, we're going to be going through that presentation. And then, like I said, work ethic. Work ethic is still, like I said, it's right there. You gotta have a strong work ethic. Because what's the point in coming on these trainings every week and sitting around to learn the stuff if you're not going to go out and do it? There's just no point. If that's you, don't even waste your time. I would hope that you guys are on here because you're wanting to have that long-term success, and work ethic is really key. I remember one time I was out running leads. It was probably 7:00 at night. And I had an agent call me. He'd already been home for like 2 hours. He had a rough day. And it's like, I'm out, it's 7:00 at night and I'm still door knocking leads and you're at home. So that's a real good chance of why you're failing. You can't treat this like a 9-to-5 job. When you're working leads, you got to do what's ever necessary to reach those prospects. And if that means that you got to stay out and you got to work after 5 o'clock because they work during the day and the only time they're home is after 5, well, then that means you're going to have to stay out after 5 o'clock. You might have to work a Saturday. You might have to work Sunday, especially when you're brand new. Work as much as you can. Set goals and do whatever you can to try to reach those goals. But those that are going to make it long term are going to have that strong work ethic for sure. So let's talk about money management. That was something that was kind of like a little hanger, left people hanging on one of the videos I did over the weekend that kind of promoted this a little bit, that was on Facebook, like a Facebook reel, and also on TikTok. I talked about an agent of mine that was really good. He was a top producer. I mean, this guy was writing like 15 to 20,000 every month for a while. But his problem was he was not good at managing his money. And it got to the point where his success, it started to just not happen anymore. He was becoming much less successful because he was not good at managing money, and he was not placing lead orders on a regular basis. He was too busy spending his money on other stuff. And I understand we all have bills. But when you're running a business, it doesn't matter. You still have to be disciplined, and you got to do what you can to set some money aside if you want to stay in business. So money management is crucial. Setting money aside, crucial. If you want to have long-term success in the business, because you got to have that steady lead flow on a regular basis to be successful. So my recommendation to you, if you're brand new, would be to open up a separate bank account that's strictly for purposes of marketing, and call it your leads account. And, a lot of these different checking accounts, you can get a debit card and you can use that just for purposes of ordering leads. I recommend to transfer 30% of every single deposit that you make, every single commission that you earn, into the leads account. All right. Remember, we got to set money aside. It's crucial. If you want to stay in business, you got to be disciplined. You can't focus on the big commission you just earned. You got to set some of that aside for next week and the week after and the week after that. So use the money in that leads account to place a lead order every single week. Now, your first week, again, if you're brand new, again, you got to remember, it takes money to make money, and you have to invest more of your own money the first few weeks. So you need to be able to see the value in this business of really what could be, and you got to be willing to bet on yourself. You got to be willing to bet on yourself. If that means that you got to put money on a credit card, you got to order leads on a credit card, and after you make some sales, pay it back, well, then go ahead and do it. But whatever it's going to take. And remember, I'm 20 years into this. This works, but you got to be willing to follow the steps, and you got to be willing to bet on yourself, and you got to be willing to invest in yourself. If you don't have money for leads, work your warm market and do whatever it takes to write business. We need a constant flow of leads coming in to be successful. And we're going to talk about that warm market here in a couple minutes. And plan to live on half of what you earn. And the reason I say half, well, the unfortunate thing with life is the fact that we have to pay taxes too. So you want to make sure that you set money aside for taxes. This is a 1099 opportunity. So I've seen brand new people that get licensed into the business where they don't really understand that, because they're used to just working your regular 9-to-5 W-2 positions where they get their paycheck every couple of weeks. And when they start making money in this business, they're not being responsible with setting that money aside, because maybe they're not even aware of it, that that's what they need to be doing. But if you don't set money aside, it could really hurt you when it comes to tax time. And it happened to me once about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I had a really good year and I made a lot more than what I realized, and I wasn't putting enough money away. So it did affect me a little bit financially, but I learned a lot from it. Again, even the mistakes that I've made in the past, and I like to share that too, so the same doesn't happen to you. But yeah, plan to live on half, and it might sound pretty tough. Well, you're just going to have to get out there and make more sales to make it all come together. So let's talk about your warm market. If you're brand new and you don't have anybody, or maybe you just don't have any money to purchase leads, maybe your credit's not the best. You can't just throw $1,000 worth of leads on a credit card. I mean, I get it. It's understandable. People run into situations that maybe they just came from a lot of times people are getting into this business because they came from an opportunity where maybe they were not successful and they weren't making a lot of money. So sometimes it's tough when you first get into a new opportunity. It's tough to make money if you can't spend money to purchase leads. But a warm market. Oh, sorry. Let's see. I just hit a button on here. Hold on. Let me minimize this. Hold on. What did we do here? Okay. I think we're good. Anyways, a warm market, put together a list of 15 people that you know. I mean, how hard is that? 15 people. You go on your phone, you go through your list of contacts. I mean, you can contact 15 family members that are local to you, or even if you're doing telesales. I mean, you could have family across the country as long as you have a license in the state that your family lives in. You can contact them as well. But contact them and let them know about your new career and ask if you can come by, or maybe even right then and there, if you're on the phone and you're doing the telesales, just see if they have 15 minutes to practice your presentation with them. And it's as simple as this. My company wants me to practice presenting to 15 people that I know to make sure I'm confident and ready to start selling to everyone. Would you be available for 15 to 20 minutes tomorrow so I can come by and practice my presentation with you? And if they're a friend or a family member, I'm sure they'd be more than willing to help you. And they don't have to feel obligated to do anything, but there's a good chance that you can generate some business off of the people that you know. And I feel like it's kind of low pressure. They don't feel super pressure to have to buy, but it is a great way to get started where you can at least maybe make a few quick sales to help you get going with the leads. But quote and try and write a policy on them. And if they are not in need, ask for referrals. There's a good chance they're going to know people that could use what you're offering. So let them know how much referrals will really help with you just getting started. And set a goal. Try to write 3,000 to 5,000 in annualized premium your first week off of your warm market and referrals. It's all about work ethic. And if there's a will, there's a way. And this can work. It's just a matter of reaching out to the people. And I mean, heck, you could have a really good week and write some business that way and want to find 15 more people to contact and do the same thing and even work some of those referrals that you gained the prior week. Another method, and I mean, heck, I've done this in the past, cold door knocking. I mean, it doesn't sound like fun, but it works if you're in the right area. Actually, the owner of the first company that I worked with, he's passed away now, but he used to call me almost once a month. And he'd always tell me, Adam, I know that you're working leads. You need to try just doing some cold door knocking. If you're in the right area, it'll work. And every month he'd call me and ask me if I knocked any doors cold and if I made any sales, because he knew that it worked. It's really just the old school way of doing it. I mean, back in the day, I mean, a lot of older agents in the past had told me, I mean, we never had leads. We just door knocked people and worked off of referrals. So cold door knocking works. If you don't have money for leads, knock on some doors. My first company, I was over financed in leads. They wouldn't give me any more leads. I just kind of ran into a tough spot, and it was either figure out a way to make some money or go find something else to do. I picked out an area where I'd been working my leads, and I just started knocking on doors. I got in a few houses. I made some sales. People, it's so funny because people will actually appreciate the fact that you took the time to drop by, and you get a lot more positive than what you maybe would anticipate going into it. A lot of times people think that you're just going to get the door slammed in your face all day, but that doesn't happen. We've actually tested it, and I mean, you could knock on about 40 doors to every one sale that you make. So, I mean, heck, you knock on 80 doors a day. That's two sales. I mean, heck, who wouldn't want to take the time to knock on 80 doors to make $1,000 to $2,000? I mean, that's a pretty good day, especially now in the summertime when it's nice out. It's a great time to try it. If you have any other questions when it comes to that, though, feel free to reach out and I can kind of give you maybe some other tips that have helped me in the past with that. But practice doing neighborhood enrollments. Best areas are those that would be considered middle to low income with houses that are close together. I mean, some of these houses, I'm outside of Chicago. I mean, some of the areas in Chicago or some of the suburbs right outside of the city, these houses are like less than 10 feet apart, or at least it seems like it, where, I mean, you can really knock out a lot of houses pretty quickly. So pick out an area like that where the houses are super close together and you can go up and down the street pretty quickly and knock on some doors. And like I said, all it takes is that one person to say, you know what, we were just thinking about this. It's amazing that you're here today. And they let you in and you write some business. So this is how I do it. My script. Hi, my name is Adam Brsan, and I'm a benefits coordinator licensed with the state of Illinois. I've been assigned to do a neighborhood enrollment for a state-approved final expense program that will pay your family up to $50,000 in the event of your death. To cover all your funeral expenses. I just need about 5 minutes of your time to see if you'll qualify. Can I come in? And that's it. And like I said again, we miss 100% of the shots we don't take. What was that? A quote from Wayne Gretzky. I mean, if you don't knock on the door, you know that you're not going to make a sale. But if you do knock on the door, there's a chance that you could make $500, maybe even more. But if you don't take that chance, you know for sure that you're never going to. You could also call, if you're doing telesales, or door knock a list. You can purchase a list of people to call or purchase aged leads to contact. Listshack.com is one that is decent. I don't know what their current monthly price is, but you can get on ListShack. You can sort it down to even scrubbed for do not call if you are calling the people. You can also you can filter the list to purchased by age, by income, by zip code. So you can really narrow it down to a pretty good door knocking list too, where maybe you'll only then door knock the people that are that are within the criteria of what you're looking for to sell to for final expense. Facebook aged leads. I've seen some different vendors out there now that you can get some aged Facebook leads for anywhere from $1 to $5 a piece, depending on how old they are. So, do some research on that too. Any questions too, maybe shoot me an email or text and I could probably fill you in on some of the different vendors. Aged direct mail leads, same thing. If you can get some direct mail leads at a discounted price, another great way to generate some business at a lower price than having to fork out $1,000 your first week. Now, if you are calling a list, like I mentioned, make sure it is scrubbed for the do not call list. You don't want to get yourself in trouble calling people that are on the list. And I mean, heck, there's people out there that are just waiting for somebody to call them so they can turn around and sue them. If calling aged Facebook leads, make sure that they are within 90 days old, or make sure the contacts you're calling are on the do not call list. That would just be my recommendation to you. But my experience doing a lot with the telesales, and I've been generating the Facebook leads myself internally, and a lot of the times it seems like people, they see an ad, they click on it, and then they see another one 5 minutes later and they click on it, and then they see another one after that, and then after that, and then all of a sudden they have like 10 different people calling them. They're getting fed up because their phone keeps ringing. They don't want to give anybody the time of day. But you let that lead after the first week of not having success on it, let it cool off a little bit. And you know what happens? All those other people, they quit calling the lead and they probably gave up on it. So then you can get on there and call, and there's a better chance. There's a real good chance that the prospect still hasn't done anything. So you can get in there then and still be able to make a sale. So that's where, I think the aged Facebook leads are not bad, because a lot of times that's exactly what happens. And there's still some money to be made there at a much cheaper price than purchasing brand new leads. So this is a strategy that I recommend for agents to follow, kind of starting with your first 3 weeks and then for the rest of your career. Until maybe you start to build and grow and you don't have as much time to go out there on a regular basis. But if that's something that you desire. So your first 3 weeks, I recommend to order 20 Facebook leads and 20 direct mail leads. And I can help you out with different vendors if you need help with that. There's a few different Facebook vendors that I've had some pretty good success with. At fairly reasonable prices. And then the same with direct mail. Few different vendors that you could try going through. The reason you got to order both, the reason you got to order 20 Facebook leads and 20 direct mail leads is because those 20 Facebook leads are for this week. The Facebook leads can be generated fairly quickly. And so you place that lead order for the Facebook leads, that's to work right now. Those 20 direct mail leads you're ordering, well, I mean, that's to work in week 4 or week 5. I mean, it's usually at least a good 3 to 4 week turnaround from the time that you place the direct mail lead order to the time that those leads start to come in. So that's why you need to order both. You got to focus on right now because you got to make money. Or if you don't have the money to do both, well, then you can work that warm market like we talked about a little bit earlier. You can generate some commissions, and then maybe you can start ordering both the following week. Any sales made, transfer 30% of your commissions earned into that separate bank account, your leads account, for future lead orders. And, like I mentioned, that's the most crucial part of this whole thing. It's great to make those sales. It's great to be all excited because you made a sale and all of a sudden you got this big deposit that showed up. Throw 30% of it aside like you never even saw it. And that way, when you got to purchase those leads, you got the money there and you're ready to spend it. So that's what you need to do your first 3 weeks while you're waiting for your direct mail leads to come in. Now, and again, this is kind of more geared towards field sales. For telesales, I would recommend you just got to be very consistent with ordering leads. As I mentioned, I've been doing a little bit with the Facebook lead generation. And I mean, the key is to have a whole lot of people to talk to. If you can find a decent Facebook lead for 10 to 15 bucks a piece, that, I mean, you could even do a statewide campaign, or if you have multiple states, then that would be a good idea. I mean, the cheaper you can get those Facebook leads, the better. You're going to probably want a good 20 fresh leads every day when it comes to Facebook generation for telesales. And that's what these guys that are writing a lot of business, that's what they're doing. Maybe it's something you got to work your way up to, but if you can get 20 leads a day, and heck, I mean, if you close 2 or 3, I mean, then I would say then you're being pretty successful. I mean, if you can make 2 to 3 sales every single day on the phone, but It's a lot of work. Both, it doesn't matter whether you're doing telesales or field sales. It's a lot of work. It's just a different type of work. You're either on the phone all day making calls, or you're out in the field doing whatever you can to get in front of people. So either way, it's a lot of work. Either way, you're going to be having to invest some money. It's just a matter of which path that you want to take yourself. Now, weeks 4 and on for field sales, those direct mail leads, they should be arriving by now. If not, continue placing the Facebook lead orders. And as I mentioned, just continue to place those direct mail lead orders every single week. And I don't care if you're taking vacation or whatever, just continue to place those direct mail lead orders. That steady flow of leads is what's going to keep you in the business. And as I mentioned, if direct mail leads are coming in slowly, supplement that with another Facebook lead order until you start to get that steady flow of direct mail coming in. And give me 1 second, I'll be right back. All right. And then, as I mentioned, continue transferring 30% of every commission earned into your leads bank account, because that's crucial. Pretend like you never saw the money. So then from there, let's talk about appointment setting tips. There's different ways of doing this. A lot of people, they like to just take the leads and go out and door knock them. And I've done a lot of that in the past. I've also seen some value in setting up appointments. And if you have that mindset of, I'm going to go see that person either way, whether they reject me on the phone or not, you'll be successful if you're setting up appointments. But if you are calling the leads and the person doesn't give you the time of day over the phone and they hang up on you, they're mean and nasty to you, whatever, and you don't work that lead out in the field, you just set it aside, you're afraid to go to their door, to knock on the door, you're probably not going to be as successful. I mean, I think it's important. You got to remember, a lot of times when you're calling people, it's like they're pre-programmed to just say no. They think it's a telemarketer calling them. They don't want to give them the time of day, and they could be mean and nasty to you over the phone. I always recommend take those leads and 2 to 3 days later show up, and they're not even going to realize it's the same person that called them on the phone. So, but if you can set up your week with appointments and work your leads, people that you're not able to reach over the phone, in between your appointments, or if you have a no-show, that would be your best bet to a successful day out in the field. So on the phone, I recommend to use first names only rather than Mr. or Mrs. I think Mr. or Mrs., it does sound maybe a little bit more telemarkety, that if you're just saying, hi, John, right away, it kind of maybe triggers their curiosity a little bit, wondering who's calling and who's calling them by their first name. And there's a chance that they may be a little bit more willing to talk to you. And make calls every day, including Sunday. If you're out in the field on Monday, well, you want to make sure that you're calling on Sunday to set up your day. So now, this is something that's a little bit different than what other people do, but I think that it works. And my whole thing, it's always about trying to be a little bit different than what everybody else is doing out there. So I like to make calls at nighttime to set up my next day, 8 to 9 o'clock at night, no earlier. And the reason for that, even if we're dealing with seniors, a lot of seniors, they're still active. They're still busy during the day. They're doing things. Maybe they have grandkids that they have to babysit while their parents are at work all day. You call too early, they're too busy, they're making dinner, who knows what's going on. But usually by 8 o'clock at night, they're just kind of kicking back, they're relaxing, they're watching TV. And you know what else isn't happening between 8 and 9 o'clock at night is anybody else calling them. So that's again where there's a better chance that they're going to pick up the phone. And then that way you can set up your appointment. And I recommend to set up your appointments on the hour. Now, this is much easier to do with direct mail leads because you can order direct mail leads by zip code. If you're working Facebook leads and they are a little bit more spread out, then you might want to adjust this a little bit. Maybe like 9 o'clock, 10:30, noon, 1:30, 3 o'clock, 4:30, maybe like an hour and a half in between. But if you're doing the direct mail, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to get in and out of a house within an hour with still enough time to get to your next stop, because you're working leads that are all very close together to one another. You got to keep in mind too, you're going to have no-shows. That's going to happen. So that's why I don't recommend setting the appointments too far out. If you have a no-show, you still have some time to door knock some leads in between that next appointment. And don't set up an appointment any earlier than 10 a.m. for the next day unless the client must meet you earlier. Because I think that, well, on your way to your first appointment, it's another great time to make some of those phone calls. Make calls from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. while you're on your way to your first stop. Mrs. Jones, I'm going to be in your area today. And just wanted to see, if you'd be available about 3 o'clock. And the closer you can set up that appointment to the time that you spoke to them on the phone, the better of the chance that they're actually going to be home. So that's where you don't want to set up appointments for 2 to 3 days out. I'd say to set them up for like the next day, maybe the day after that, at like the furthest out. But all you're doing, if you're setting them too far out, you're just setting yourself up for a lot of no-shows. So you don't want to take Monday as like your call day and set up your whole week, because maybe your Tuesday appointments will be home and part of your Wednesday, but a good portion of your Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday appointments are going to forget and they're not going to be home. So that's why I like to focus on, if I am setting up appointments, setting them for the next day. And I don't really want to go much further out than that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you get rejected over the phone, plan on stopping by that lead 2 days later. This is just one example I wanted to show you of a direct mail lead piece. This is one that I've used in the past through Need a Lead, the DE73. This is like your standard final expense direct mail lead. Now, if you're going into this thinking that people are filling out a card where all it says on it is, if you need final expense life insurance, fill this out, you're not going to get many lead cards back. That's just part of it. Our job is to learn how to sell. And so now this lead piece, it says life insurance on it. It also says final expense. To me, this is a good lead. People know why they're filling it out. You're going to get excuses at the door or on the phone on any lead piece that's out there, whether it's super specific or very generic. It makes no difference. You could have a lead piece like what I was saying that just says something like, fill this lead card out if you want final expense life insurance, and check the amount that you want to purchase. And people are still going to respond when you talk to them as, oh, I just thought that was something that was for free. So it really makes no difference. Again, the key is just to learn how to sell. And the best way to learn is just to get out there and do it. If this lead didn't work, I wouldn't teach you to use it. It's worked for me. It's worked for many other agents in the past. But you just need to know going in that there's not like a perfect lead piece that just is straight and to the point, because if there was, you're not going to get any leads back. If you're doing 1,000-piece mailer, maybe you'll get 1 or 2 leads back, but I don't want to pay $250 to $500 per lead. That would be ridiculous. I wouldn't be making any money. So put something like this together. You get on the phone, call them. They know why they filled it out. And again, if you have trouble on the phone, put that in your pile of leads to door knock, and that's what you can do in between your appointments. So the direct mail phone script. And again, first name, hello, George. Yeah, this is Adam, your benefit coordinator, licensed with the state of Illinois. I received the yellow request card that you just sent in, and I need to verify what you wrote down. I'll get you off the phone real quick, okay? Now you put that you are 64 years young. Is that correct? And I have your address as 1050 Park Lane in Joliet, Illinois. Is that still correct? Okay, great. And I know that your phone number is correct because I'm speaking to you, and usually they'll giggle. I'm going to be in your area tomorrow to go over your benefits, and I just need to see if 10 a.m. works for you. If they say no, okay, I also have an opening at 2:30. Is that better? If still no, have them tell you what time they are available. And okay, great. It will only take a few minutes to go over what you qualify for and take care of you. Is your address a house, apartment, or mobile home? What color is it? Any cars outside that will help me identify your house? Just so you know, it's me. I'll have my state ID badge or just a copy of my license with me. And I'm 6 foot, I'm about 6 foot white guy. So I'm easy to spot. That's it. And well, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a great day. It's as simple as that. I mean, we don't have to dig into their health. We don't need to ask them if they have a bank account. I mean, these days, heck, I mean, you can write business on people with credit cards, debit cards. You don't have to focus on just having that bank account. So, and there's companies that do that really well with their billing these days that you can be confident that it works. But anyways, that's it. If they don't give you the time of day over the phone, like I said, 2 to 3 days later, stop by, and they're not even going to realize that you're the person that they talk to on the phone. They fill stuff out all the time. That's not the first time they fill one of these cards out. I guarantee you. And I've done it many times where I've called, they've been mean and nasty, they hang up on me. I show up a few days later, they're the nicest people in the world, and they let me in the house, and I write business. So just a few tips to help you make the most of your time while you're out in the field. This is the app that I use. There's plenty of different mapping tools, different apps that you can get. This is the one that I use. I don't know if it's available for Google or not. I have an iPhone. The one that I use, it's called En Route, and it's only like $4.99 a month, but you can add like as many via points, as many leads as you want into this thing. And what's cool is that you can color code those points. So if I have a route going and let's say the person isn't home, I can change the color of the pin on the map. So then I'll know the next time I'm working those leads that I had a lead that was right there, and that was one that wasn't home. So I can add that back into my next route that I do. Makes it real easy to do, and I just see it color coded on the map. You can even color code it if the person just didn't give you the time of day. You can mark it as black or whatever. Or even if you make a sale, you can make it green. And then maybe the next time you're in that area, maybe you don't have a whole lot of time in between appointments, but you could drop in on that person that you made a sale on, see how they're doing, catch up with them a little bit. Maybe they have a friend or family member that's over when you drop by, and you could end up writing some additional business. You just never know. So En Route is good. I know a lot of people use Road Warrior. There's a few others that are good for out in the field. And then when the leads arrive, as I mentioned, work on the appointments. But then in between the appointments, get on this En Route and put together your route of anybody that you haven't been able to reach over the phone. Or if the leads come in and you're just ready to get out there and work, maybe it's a nice day and you don't want to spend the day on the phone setting up appointments, just take them out there and door knock them. I mean, you'll be fine. I mean, I've done that for years without appointments and have done just fine. So, that's totally up to you. If you're not comfortable on the phone, you don't have to do the appointment setting. You can just take the leads and put a route together and go out there and run them. But to me, time is money. If you can have that schedule set and then just run the leads, door knock the leads in between that are either no shows or people that you weren't able to get a hold of, I think you're going to make the most of your time. And put the leads in order. What's nice about these programs like En Route is that it'll optimize the order of your route. So you could plug in 30 leads and it's going to take you from, let's say my first point is my home. And my last point is my home. It's going to organize all the leads in the middle for the fastest route. So I'm not going from point A to point N to point Q to point D. I mean, it's going to put it in a real nice order from beginning to end. And again, time is money. I mean, something as simple as a $5 app is going to end up making you so much more money because you're going to have so much more time to catch up with people where you're not just plugging in one lead after another on a mapping program that just takes you from point A to point B. And then just you begin your route and you stop by each lead as they come up on the route. And if the lead's not home, pretty simple, make a note on the back of the lead of what time you were there. I mean, the more information that you can provide to yourself, it's just going to make your job a lot easier. If you stop by at 10 o'clock and they weren't home, you try later in the day, you try in the afternoon, you try in the evening. I mean, sooner or later, you're gonna catch the people. I'd say if you try a few times during the day and you can't reach them, then you need to put that into your pile of leads to try running in the evening. And then, and again, Saturdays are great days too. If you just keep trying that person during the week and you can't reach them, well, then get out there on Saturday and there's a good chance that you'll be able to catch them at home. Now, once you've run through all of your leads, well, it's pretty simple. You can put another route together with the leads you weren't able to get a hold of. And, that's the great thing about same thing about this software. When I first started, we didn't have that sort of thing. I mean, I was going on a mapping program on my computer. I was plugging in all the leads and then I was printing out a route. I'd get to the end of the route and I'd be done because I wasn't familiar with the areas that I was working. And, we didn't have the technology 20 years ago that we do now. So, these days, boy, it just makes it a lot easier to be able to do this out in the field with the different mapping apps that you can get. I mean, for $5 a month, you can't beat it. And then, printing out your leads is good because that way you can take that lead card and you can show the person at the door and, sort your leads out. Like I mentioned, if the person's not home, you try 2 or 3 times during the day, move that over into your night and weekend section in like a little index card holder that you can keep all your leads in. So then that way you're not going to just constantly keep trying that person during the day. Move it over to your night pile or your weekend pile, and then you can focus on your new leads that come in during the day. And then I'd also, if you have just a overflow of leads, just a ton of leads to work, it might not be a bad idea to work the people that are older ages first during the day, because there's a better chance that you'll catch those people at home during the day, where the younger people, say, under the age of 65, there's a chance that they could be working. But that's just if you have too many people to go see, which is really a good problem to have. But if you, limited number of people to see, just put them all in your GPS and go out there and hit them if you don't have a whole lot of appointments set for that day. This is just kind of funny. I even had to put this in there. What do you wear on the field? I mean, I've had agents actually ask me that. What should I wear? I'd say business casual. I mean, like what I'm wearing today. I mean, I have an appointment later. I'm wearing a golf shirt and I'm wearing some slacks, and that's good enough. Keep the client comfortable. You don't need to look intimidating. I don't feel like you need to show up in a shirt and tie or a suit. That's just could be a little intimidating. And then the person may not come to the door. I mean, they might think that you're, who knows, a detective or something. And they might just not come to the door. They might think they're there to serve them papers, or a bill collector. Who knows? So keep it semi-casual. Business casual is good. You just don't want to be intimidating. Now, what do you take to the door? I had a guy tell me, well, I don't want to take everything up to the door. I just want to take the lead card up to the door. And if they want to let me in, I'll go back to the car to get everything else. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? If I opened the door to someone that was wanting to come in to sell me something and they turned around and went back to their car, I'd be closing my door and not letting them in. So, I think, well, take whatever's necessary to sell a policy. I mean, all I take is, I have this little case right here. It's a leather case. I have my iPad in there and some brochures, and there's a notepad in there. That's really all you need. But it's simple, it's small, I'm walking up to the door with this. It doesn't look like I'm going to be there for like the whole weekend. Looks like when I tell them and it's only going to take 10 minutes, looks like it's going to take 10 minutes. So that's all you need. God, you could almost just show up with your iPad these days with everything just on there. But I think it's a good idea to still at least have some paper to write some things down if you have to, and something to at least hold some brochures, so you can leave something behind for your client. So then the door knock approach, and we're just about done. And then like I said, next week we'll be going through the presentation. So we're doing everything right here that is going to take us to the point where we get in the door. And then next week is where we're going to take off from there with the presentation. So, hi, Mary. I'm Adam, your benefit coordinator with the state of Illinois. I have your request you sent in to us a little while back. Point to the lead card. I have a little time before my next appointment. It should take about 10 minutes. May I come in? Talk about simple and easy. We're not, you could talk your way out of a sale or even getting in the door by just saying too much at the door. Show them the card. They know they filled it out. It's in their handwriting. I have a little bit of time before my next appointment. It should take about 10 minutes. May I come in? If they ask you what it's about, was pertaining to, your Social Security death benefit and the final expense program that's being offered. Just need about 10 minutes to see what you qualify for. Can I come in? So that's about it. That's all I have for today. Next week, we'll be going through that presentation. Be great to have you guys on again. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you need anything. If you're looking to get contracted, reach out to me. We have multiple carrier options. We have very good contracts. We have lead programs for agents. So, feel free to reach out, and be more than happy to help you with that too, if that's something that you need. So thanks again. Have a great week, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks.